So, you like salsa, do you? Well, you must, or you never would have clicked on the thumbnail in the first place. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do today is show you how to make salsa so good, some folks might even pretend to be your friend. Stick with me, regular guy doing regular guy stuff. So you might be asking yourself, why do I want to listen to this squid about how to make a top tier salsa? Well, you're willing to try something new, maybe something a little bit better. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make about a gallon of salsa. We are going to be using 4 pounds of Roma tomato. We will have the minced garlic. Up here we have the jalapenos and the habaneros. I'm going to use 5 jalapenos and 5 habaneros. The habanero has a smoky flavor that makes flavor of the salsa really pop. Without it, it is not the same. We have 2 sweet onions. Use the sweet onions, not the white onions or the red onions. We've got 2 bushels of cilantro. It really gives it that great salsa flavor. We'll be using 2 tablespoons of salt. We use 2 ounces of apple cider vinegar as a preservative. And then this tool here is what makes it work. A food processor with a pause feature. That way the pulse will allow you to pulse it to the level of food processing that you want. So you can go really, really fine and turn it into soup, or you can leave it very coarse and it'll be like a pico de gallo. So anywhere is your choice, and we'll touch on that a little bit later as we get going. And then of course a container with about a gallon's worth of volume. All right, so we'll get started. First thing we're going to do is core out our tomato cores. We're just going to take out the stem just like that, and we'll do that to each of our tomatoes. Then we'll cut them in half and get them ready for the food processor. Okay, now we're going to do our peppers. These we're just going to take the ends off of these guys. Each of the jalapenos and with the habaneros. When we put them in the food processor, we're going to grind these down to a paste. We want them to be as finely cut as possible, because nobody likes biting into a chunk of habanero unexpectedly. So make sure when you go to process these in the food processor, you really give them a serious grinding. And I will put in a couple of pieces of tomato to add a little bit of moisture. And we're going to throw these in our processor, seeds and all. So it'll be rock and roll. All right, into the hopper with all of the peppers. Threw in those tomatoes, like I said. And this we're going to go for. I'm going to take my small spatula or whatever you call these guys. I'm going to make sure I take it off of there because I want those back in the mix. Maybe we can grind them up a little bit more. Yeah, that's looking good to me. Way better than you could ever do by hand, right? I mean, that would take me forever. And those silly little choppers and everything, they sell, at 2 in the morning that you're doing other things. Those will never get the job done either. Alright, so I'll put that in the hopper. Okay, so now that we've got a few of our ingredients in the mixing bowl, container rather, I'm going to start mixing it. So I want to add in a couple of teaspoons of salt. A little salt goes a long way, so you don't want to get crazy. I mean, if you do 4, it's going to taste like a a cheeseburger. Drop in about 2 ounces of apple cider vinegar. And then we still have cilantro, garlic, and onion to add in. So we'll get to that after I mix this up a little bit. Alright, we're going to go with 3 heaping tablespoons or teaspoons of this garlic. I mean huge. Daddy likes garlic. So we're going with 3 of those. Now I'll mix that in and we'll get after our cilantro. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to take off the stems from our cilantro, and you don't want to get real crazy. I mean, you could spend all night on this if you want, but there's going to be a few left over on the stems, but not enough to worry about. I'll put these in the food processor, and then we'll cut the stems on the second batch. Oh, that stuff smells good. Love cilantro. Second batch here, and I'll throw that in the food processor. Alright, cilantro's in the processor. Cilantro can be a bit of a challenge in a food processor. It likes to do funky things, but take your time, be patient, and you'll work your way through it. Of course, we need a blade. So it's getting pretty dry in there. I'm going to throw tomato in there just to add a little bit of moisture to it. Take a look at that. And there it is, all chopped up in there. Looking pretty good. Yep, that'll be something you'll be able to taste and not overwhelm your mouth. Okay, we have our onions here. I skinned our onions. In the midst of skinning our onions, I managed to shoot myself in the eyeball with some onion juice. So you can imagine that was just a real nice surprise, Clark. That was a proper screw in there. Whew. Alright, so our onions have been quartered and put into our food processor. And with the onions, nobody likes a mouthful of onions, so I really chop them finely. I almost puree these things because it's the flavor of the onion you're after, not really, you don't want a bulk bite of onion, unless you're one of those folks that eats onions like an apple. And I'm just for fun going to drop in my last pieces of tomato. And that's looking pretty good to me. So now we've mixed it for a while. Things are looking pretty good. The color's nice. You can see through the bottom here, so we can always see where we have failed on our mixing. My onion eyeball has recovered sufficiently for the next task, as I have the benefits of a strainer and let that stuff drip out of there. Delicious. Now, the first day you make it, this will be really hot because those habaneros have a little bit of a kick to them. Tomorrow, this won't be nearly as spicy as it is right now. And a couple days later, it seems like it calms down even more. I will put some of this in the freezer, and I'll go through this in a hurry. But I'm going to take some of it to work tomorrow and share it with the folks. And there you have it. Salsa by a regular guy. Thanks for spending some time with us. If it wasn't a complete waste of your time, consider hitting the like button. It really helps me out. And join me on our next session when we make some glorious spicy Italian soup.